All right, welcome everyone to the Start Grow Manage podcast and to our lunch. I guess Carla's calling it lunch and live. So our sort of our lunch and learn here around how to get more stuff done. I'm gonna bring Joe in. He's waiting patiently in the wings here. What a cool thing it is that I have this power that I can just like kick him out. But anyway, I'm gonna bring him in because it's more fun to have Joe here. Joe, hi.
Hey, how
How's
are you? How you doing?
I did have that moment of wow, this is cool. Like, how often in life do you have full and absolute power over whether or not someone can talk, right? I mean,
Oh,
it's sort of a funny
come
thing.
on. Yeah, they had a crazy Black Mirror episode about that where you could just mute people. You can't hear them. It was crazy. It was really crazy. Like,
So
you had these contacts and you had these ear things that were built into everybody, and you could blur somebody and mute them if they were bothering you, and even if they were there, you couldn't hear them or see them.
Oh, blur. Hey, Carla, let's see if we can figure out how to blur. That would actually be really fun. Well, blurring coming soon to an SGM video near you,
Yeah.
and all suggested by Joe, who would like to be sharp at the tack, but I might have to blur him. So, no, actually, I'm not. Joe, you know that I love you. I love that we're able to do these things together and I wouldn't want to do it by myself with a blurry Joe. But what we're going to talk about today, because this is the end of our planning period, and we're moving into what we consider our reset between planning periods, and part of that is our live planning summit, which is really starting to get popular, where we're going to have a bunch of people come together, MSPs come together and plan and we call it annual planning. We'd like to do annual planning 3 times a year for reasons that Joe likes to equate to boxing
Yes, yes,
because
yes,
his
yes.
favorite philosopher is Mike Tyson, right?
Yeah. And no, everybody's got a plan until I punch you in the mouth. That's what he
Get
says.
punched in the mouth. So as soon as you go out and you try to implement it, you realize that your plan needs adjustment, and by the time we get to the next planning period, we want to actually think again the stuff that we already planned, is it the right stuff and wrong stuff and all of that. So anyway, all that to be said, we do that 3 times a year, and the big question, the reason we do this is because it's crucial to getting more stuff done. One of the biggest questions that people come to us with is, how do I get my people to do stuff? How do I align my team around getting stuff uh,
Done.
done? And so that's what we're going to talk about. And let me see. Yes, we know we're at the LinkedIn Live, so we're good there. So let's chat a little bit about how we get more stuff done, how we increase efficiency, increase quality, and decrease costs. And we always like to start with the problem, right? So here's how I see the problem of not having a plan. You
Yeah.
know this, Joe? What this is like for me. This is like the
Yeah.
absolute chaos of I don't know where I'm going. Everybody's doing stuff. Everybody's acting the whole time. Everybody's taking action, and I call it like busyness. And our challenge here is to turn busyness into business, to go from doing lots of stuff to having that leadership voice that starts to align everybody uh, behind the actions that you as a leader want to take, or the vision that you have for your company. Um, and one of my favorite stories about this actually comes from you, Joe, and it's this idea of walking through the woods.
Yeah.
And the way we like to think about it is, if you're an entrepreneur, you're essentially walking through the woods without a path, and there are these big trees around you, and you really don't know where you're going. And there's this old legend, um, from it's about Arthur and Merlin, and there are many ways that this story is told. But one of the ways that this story is told is that, Arthur is going along, living his life, and he's going through the forest, or he's going through this dark place, and he comes across, a cabin, and this was just randomly built in the woods. It looked exactly like that. This cabin in the woods, and he's walking through, and he's lost. He doesn't know where he's going, and just like any other entrepreneur. And he comes up and he sees this cabin, and it's got this crazy old man in it. And the crazy old man says, "Hey, Arthur, welcome. I've cooked your favorite meal." And Arthur's like, "Well, wait a minute. This is really creepy. Your cabin looks like clip art, and I don't understand how you could possibly know my favorite meal." And Merlin says, "Well, I did buy the cabin from Adobe Stock, but
Yeah.
the reason I know your meal is that I was born at the other end of time, so I remember the future. You remember the past. So come in and eat." So he does, and the point of this is that Arthur was lost and confused like entrepreneurs, and Merlin was able to explain to him where he needs to go. He was able to give him that vision. He was able to say, "This is your destination." And when you have a destination, you can build towards that. So Arthur, that this was key to Arthur becoming the legend of Arthur, to the Arthurian legends. And in business, this is key to an entrepreneur becoming a successful entrepreneur, breaking out of busyness and aligning your team to business, is knowing where you are, playing, not knowing where you are, knowing where you're going, playing that role of Merlin to get clear about the future, and then working backwards from there. Do you have
Yeah.
anything to add to the story, Joe?
Well, a couple of things is you're playing that. If you're going to play that role, you want to be able to make adjustments, right? Which is why our planning process works the way it works. And I know you're going to go into that in a second, but it's really, you have to, as an entrepreneur, and especially as an MSP, you want to start really thinking about, where is it heading? Where is technology heading? Where is your client that you support? Where is their business heading? Where is their industry heading? Where are we going? What are the outcomes that my client is trying to produce? And how do I get in front of that? How do I stay far enough in front of it that it almost feels to the client like you are a magician. Right? Because you're coming up with solutions to problems that they are not even clear that they have yet. And you're saying, look, this is what's going to happen next, and this is what you're going to need to solve. So I think that's really key.
For your client and for your people, because it gives
Yeah.
them direction. So there's three crucial things that you need in order to turn business into busyness, and to live as if you have somebody guiding you, uh, just like Merlin was guiding Arthur.
Hmm.
And the first thing that you need is you need to have a goal, right? You need to know where it is that you're going, and that's like the beauty of the Merlin stories. He can come in and he can say, "Hey, here's your goal," But another great analogy of this is, well, Joe, can you give me directions?
Well, where do you want to go?
Fundamental question, right? Nobody can give you directions. Nobody can help you figure out where you're going. You can't even figure out how to get there if you don't know where you're going. It doesn't mean that the goal can never change. I think this is one of the things, Joe, that people get stuck on. Is they're like, oh, these guys are telling us to do things
Yeah.
like put a line in the sand, and that's scary, and I don't know that I want to do that because I don't know that I want to do this forever. Well, okay, but you don't actually have to stick with something forever.
No, you just got to stick for a bit. But there's an old saying that people say, if you don't know where you're going, any path will get you there. But I've rejiggered that. Like my quote is, if you don't know where you're going, you are already there.
Yeah, that's good. I like it. That's really good. If you
You
don't know
know?
where you're going, you're just gonna stumble around in
Yeah,
circles like Arthur going around in
yeah,
the forest. Like he doesn't know where he's going, so he's just gonna walk around in
yeah.
circles, endlessly. You're already there.
You're already there.
Already there. So if you never set a goal, you are where at your destination. We got to write that down, Joe. That was we have it recorded. Oh, this is great. So so um, and I think I had a really really interesting and important point that I was going to add there, Joe, but I appear to have lost it. So the point is, you have to have a goal. You have to know what you want to achieve. And when we look at our clients, so often they come in and they're MSPs, they're technical, they love technology, and the goal seems to be to do work. And this is a very natural place for us to get stuck, right? And my goal is to survive. My goal is to get the next client. My goal is it's always that immediate thing. And you got to think a little bit more broadly. And it's actually really interesting what happens when you think more broadly. I'm just thinking of a client of ours who focused on becoming the MSP for dentists, and it just transformed their business because now they knew who they were going after. They knew what they were doing, and they had a goal of $1.5 million in 18 months, and they could achieve it because they knew where they were going. Before that, they were just spinning. So you have to have a goal, and not a cabin. You have to have a goal, right? And you have to have some sort of way to get there. Now, often we talk about creating a product, but this can be a product or your strategy or it's not your plan per se, but it's how you are going to get from point A to point B. Are you going to drive a car, right? Are
Yeah,
you going to uh, are you going to use technology? Are
yeah.
you going to do strategic planning sessions? Like you have to have a way to get there. And you used to have a great analogy of arrows. Do you remember that? So you would talk about like the vision of your business. That goal is the target.
Yeah. So if you think about it, right, the your mission is that target
The vision.
that's out there. Your vision for your business is your target that's out there. The arrow is the mission. The arrow is the transport. It's the how you're going to get from where you are now to where it is, right? So the vision is really that target out there. And your bow is like your values and who you are and the thing that's going to keep launching that arrow to get to that vision to where you want to go. So it really is like, yeah,
establishing
yeah.
establishing those values, establishing that business, establishing what you are and who you are, as is creating the bow and the arrow so that you know how to get there.
I can't
And
believe
then,
you remember that. That's so long.
oh, I love these things. You got all these great. Kidding me? So then you go. I think of it all the time because I really love the analogy. And then you need a plan, and I think that plans are unbelievably boring. So
Oh,
one
I
of
know
my
that
one
about
of
you.
my least favorite activities of all time is coming up with a plan. And yet, I have learned that if you do not have a plan, nothing gets Done. It is unbelievable how fast time moves, right? We're talking right now, end of July 2024, and New Year's was yesterday. And if you don't have a plan, then you will not get to your destination. You're just not going to get there. So you've got to have a plan so that people know what they're doing. And this is that last piece that's so crucial to creating business out of busyness, is that you've got to have a plan so that people know what their targets are, they know what they're responsible for, and you cut out a ton of crap by having a plan. I think the
100%.
I think the other problem of not having a plan is if you don't have a plan, then you, the leader of the organization, you are always the plan. Because when people don't know what to do, they always come to you. So you always are responsible for doing it. And that's
Yeah.
the only thing that is more boring than making a plan, is answering everybody's questions every single day, all day long, about what do I have to do? What do I have to do? What do I have to do? Better just sit down for a couple of days
Yeah.
and make a plan so that people
Yeah.
can get their shit done and move on.
And,
I don't know if I'm
and
allowed.
one of the things that I see a lot is like, well, I hired this person. They should know what to do. They should know what to do.
Right.
They should know what to do.
They don't.
They they don't know what to do. So if you don't take the time to plan, it doesn't matter how skilled they are. They don't know what the outcome, what that goal is, where you're trying to get. If they don't know where you're trying to get, they're not going to figure it out.
It's such a hard thing for us to internalize, is the fact that you want to hire competent people, but
Mm.
hiring competent people doesn't mean they know what you want them to do or where you want them to go. You've got to have the plan. You've got to help them figure that out. So those are like the three things: a goal, a way to get there, and a plan. You've got to put the goal, a way to get there, and a plan. And we actually have on our website a planning guide. If you go to our blog, it's kind of a work in progress, and it's always probably going to be a work in progress. And Carla can put the links in the chat, or we'll have it in the show notes so that you can go check it out. But basically, we break down the planning process into a few sections, and we start with really clarifying the situation, where you are, what you're doing today. And that's where the opportunity maturity assessment comes in. We have a thing called the game plan, where you go back and assess how you've been doing and what you need to do. You might look at market analytics, but it's really clarifying the situation so that you come up with what we call the leader's intent. And the leader's intent is really that context, that overarching destination, right?
Yeah,
That Merlinism of what you're doing. You
I
like
love
that?
that.
The
Write that down.
Merlinism. I think we're going
Yeah,
to use that. So it's the Merlinism of your plan, right? Is that leader's intent. Now, once you have the leader's intent, now you have to understand, well, what are we going to do? And we have a
yeah,
couple of cool tools for figuring out what you're going to do. The break the mold is an innovation tool. Your SWOT exercise is really strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and what comes out of that. You can look at your hurdles and opportunities, but out of going through these exercises, you come up with, well, here are my strategic alternatives, and here are my strategic alternatives, and then you can look at, well, how do I filter, assess, and choose from those strategic alternatives? So we have a few ways of doing that, right? So now you've gone from, here's what's happening in the world and what's happened for the last planning period in our business and where we're going, and now we're going to put that down into what are some of our what are all the things that we could be doing, narrow that down to the things that we actually want to do, and then you have to come up with, all right, what are the actions we're going to take? Who's going to be responsible for that? You make it actionable by creating OKRs, which are objectives and key results,
so,
and smart targets, and assigning them to people. One of the key things that happens at our planning session, because I suck at planning, and Joe's better at planning, but Heather is the one who makes sure that you actually have a
she's
plan.
the best.
Like, she
Yes.
knows so you're not actually allowed to leave. We lock the door and chain it until we don't really, by the way, but until you have approved an approved plan by Heather, where you know that you've got things assigned to people so that you can evaluate your performance. And this
Yeah.
is the key that takes the busyness out and puts business back in. And then you've got to set things up so that you're measuring and you're assessing people on their delivery, right? And um, going through that process so you can feed that right back into the beginning the next time you do plan. So this is our general plan, our general way of planning. This is what we will be putting into practice at our summit. This is what we go through. A lot of these tools we just make available on the blog. You can go get it. You can look at the guide. You can access the tools. A lot of them are available on Mural, so you can just use them and work on creating your plan. And I think that even though the first time you do it, this can be really hard, and the plan probably is wrong even before you get punched in the nose, it's helpful to go through. And the more you do it, even if you're like me, you get better at it, and you end up coming with a better and better plan. Um,
Yeah.
and 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 to me, that's the key thing to getting more stuff done, right? Having the plan, measuring results, and getting out of constant busyness and constant uh, trying to figure stuff out at the last minute.
Yeah. And it's through that continuous improvement cycle where you're measuring and then bringing that back to your next planning session, measuring, bringing that back to planning next planning session, that actually lets you move forward, because then you don't keep doing the same thing over and over again, right? You do something, you see that it works or it doesn't work. If it works, you double down on it. If it doesn't work, you give it up. So
Yeah.
we're not going to do that anymore. That didn't work. Right. So now we have to really go make this thing work. So let's go, let's double down here. Let's take that to the next level. And so that's really the key to eliminating that busy work.
And it's interesting, I've seen, one of our clients is up to like $1,500 an endpoint, and it's been this planning process that has gotten them there because they've looked at it and it's brought the focus and it's helped them identify the things that they need to work on and drive efficiency in the business, and that coming together, all the stuff that they do there is um, has been essential to them growing. And someone like Gray Matter as well, where they're looking at, well, we need to spin this off, or here's a part of our business that we just have to stop doing because it is taking up too many resources, and it's not allowing us to really focus on our customers. And
Yeah.
those are the key moments, the key planning moments that are going to make a difference. And we just see that over and over and over again with clients where they come in and they feel overwhelmed and they're not sure where to go, and the planning. Then you go through 2 days where everybody's like, I don't like doing this, and then afterwards there's a sense of calm and, oh, okay, now I have some space to actually get some work done, and you get so much more done.
100%. 100%. Right.
So
So very, very cool.
anything to add to the whole to the planning process, Joe? Any other ideas around how to get stuff done?
Well, the hardest part for everybody is starting. So if you're one of those people that is just stuck, you can't. You're like, yeah, I'm gonna get to planning. I'm gonna get to it one day. But you don't understand, Joe. I'm drowning in stuff. Come to a summit, and be with a bunch of other people that's what they're doing right now, right? Because the hardest part is getting started. Once you get started and you get on a cycle, then you're planning, then you're moving through it, right? Then you're improving, then you're all that stuff. But it's just you have to start. Whether you come to a thing or you don't come to a thing, it doesn't matter. You have to start.
Yeah,
That's the key.
that's it. And do come to a summit, though. I do believe we are fully booked up for this summit. But if you're really
Yeah,
interested, check check the website.
I think
Uh,
so. I think we are.
I think Heather would probably strangle us, Joe, if we added anybody else to.
Yeah, I think so.
But we can fit you in next time. If you're interested in learning more about it, let us know. We'll put I'll put a link blog post page so that you can get in touch with us. I think there's already one there, and you can work on putting your plan together. But I would say work on understanding your plan, structure your business. That is how you're going to get more stuff done, and evaluate people and their performance. So I guess one of the things that I probably haven't emphasized enough, or we probably haven't emphasized enough, is the importance of those metrics and the KPIs and your performance management. Because without the performance management, you don't have any way of assessing whether or not the plan is achieving what you want it to achieve, or whether or not your people are achieving what you want to achieve by using the plan. And that's not a good place to be either. So
Yeah.
in the KPIs, making sure that you're measuring, making sure that you're doing performance management. I know that performance management and performance reviews are, one, a pain in the neck, and two, often uncomfortable, but they are also crucially important to making sure that you're getting stuff.
Well, not only are they crucially important for you and making sure they get stuff done, but they're crucially important for your staff so that they know that they're doing their job and that there is like a bar, because when there isn't a bar, then they're just kind of flopping around. But when there's a bar, they're going to, okay, well, how do I get over that? How do I get over that? How do I get over that?
Right.
And the great thing about performance management is that as soon as everything gets green, you're like, okay, let's turn it all yellow again. Here's where you go next. Here's where you go next. And that brings growth, right? It helps you develop staff so that they can become managers, so that they can grow, so you can add more staff, so that it really is the way to go.
Cool. So that's how you get more stuff done. Thank you for I don't know, for getting more stuff done. Thank you for what you do. We're glad to have you here, and let us know what you think. Add some comments. Send us a note, and let us know what questions you have. And on that, Joe, you want to take us out?
Remember that you are loved. We'll see you next time.
All right, thanks everybody. Have an amazing weekend and an amazing start to the new planning period. And we are not doing anything next week, but the week of the 15th,
Yeah.
Joe will be talking about how to network.
Yeah. And next week we're at CompTM booth 103. So if you want to come visit us, come on down.
Yeah, 103. So if you want to come visit us, come on down, just like Joe said. All right, guys, stay well.